The Confessions of Saint Augustine, Book 12, Chapter 20. Out of these truths of which they doubt not, whose inward eye you have enabled to see such things, and who unshakenly believe your servant Moses to have spoken in the spirit of truth. Of all these, then, he takes one who says, "In the beginning God made the heaven and the earth." That is, in his word co-eternal with himself, God made the intelligible and the sensible, or the spiritual and the corporeal creature. He another that says, in the beginning God made heaven and earth. That is, in his word co-eternal with himself, did God make the universal bulk of this corporeal world, together with all those apparent and known creatures which it contains. He, another, that says, in the beginning God made heaven and earth. That is, in his word, co-eternal with himself, did God make the formless matter of creatures spiritual and corporeal. He, another, that says, in the beginning God created heaven and earth. That is, in his word, co-eternal with himself, did God create the formless matter of the creature corporeal, wherein heaven and earth lay as yet confused, which, being now distinguished and formed, we at this day see in the bulk of this world. He, another, who says, in the beginning God made heaven and earth, that is, in the very beginning of creating and working, did God make that formless matter, confusedly containing in itself both heaven and earth, out of which, being formed, do they now stand out and are apparent with all that is in them. Chapter 21. And with regard to the understanding of the words following, out of all those truths, he chooses one to himself who says, "But the earth was invisible and without form, and darkness was upon the deep." That is, that corporeal thing that God made was as yet a formless matter of corporeal things, without order, without light. Another, he who says, the earth was invisible and without form, and darkness was upon the deep. That is, this all which is called heaven and earth was still a formless and darksome matter, of which the corporeal heaven and the corporeal earth were to be made, with all things in them, which are known to our corporeal senses. Another, he who says, the earth was invisible and without form, and darkness was upon the deep. That is, this all which is called heaven and earth was still a formless and a darksome matter, out of which was to be made both that intelligible heaven, otherwhere called the heaven of heavens, and the earth, that is, the whole corporeal nature, under which name is comprised this corporeal heaven also. In a word, out of which every visible and invisible creature was to be created. Another, he who says, the earth was invisible and without form, and darkness was upon the deep. The Scripture did not call that formlessness by the name of heaven and earth, but that formlessness, says he, already was, which he called the earth invisible without form, and darkness upon the deep, of which he had before said that God had made heaven and earth, namely, the spiritual and corporeal creature. Another, he who says, the earth was invisible and without form, and darkness was upon the deep, that is, there already was a certain formless matter, of which the Scripture said before that God made heaven and earth, namely, the whole corporeal bulk of the world, divided into two great parts, upper and lower, with all the common and known creatures in them.